Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans and awesome PPW Nation. Welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and today I am having on the coolest, the funnest people in the Keystone State. Let's give a warm, first and foremost, we got to welcome, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and welcome our governor, the one and only Austin. Welcome, Austin. Welcome to Dudes at Ringside podcast.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
And also, first and another welcome, the sign girl from PPW. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside podcast welcome to Lindsay. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hello.
And also, her mic is muted. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside podcast welcome to Sam. Welcome, Sam. Welcome. She's walking. She's running to the Dudes at Ringside studio. That's where she's going. So, first and foremost, thank you everybody for taking this opportunity the last second. I know everybody has this is a busy week. It's a Friday. Most people will be sitting watching SmackDown. First and foremost, if my internationally known audience is not familiar with you, Governor of PPW, introduce yourself.
I am the governor. I am chair number 81 at PPW Slatington. I got that nickname from the promoter himself, Paul Thick Bow. That's a shout out to Paul Bow. Thank you, Paul. Wherever you are, probably commentating on a basketball game, hopefully. Doing good there, I'm pretty sure. So
Probably doing something with basketball right now.
Yeah, I think Penn State.
I keep seeing that. He's doing big things, Mr. Paul Bow. So next,
doing good.
Yeah. So next, Lindsay, introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I am a pro wrestling fan, and I recently discovered PPW last year, so been coming to shows as much as I can. And I guess now I'm known as the sign girl. I'm always bringing signs. So every time I show up, I have like 3 more in my hand. So I think the last time I was there, I had like 12 different signs, and I'm like trying to juggle them as people are coming out. It's a lot of fun.
I'm also the t-shirt guy too. Believe me, I got piles of shirts, but I got special shout outs to a couple of them. So, you know,
Awesome.
Yes, I'm also the t-shirt guy.
Awesome.
Gotta support indie wrestling, you know.
Gotta. That's why I always do that hashtag on all my posts. So gotta support indie wrestling. That's the number one in this heart on this podcast.
We'll get to that later. We'll get that.
So Sam, introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Hey, I'm Sam. I'm a wrestling fan.
Awesome. Welcome, Sam. I'm so happy to have you on. So first and foremost, Austin, let's go into your story, on your origin story with independent wrestling and wrestling in general. Where did it start for you?
It started way back in 7th grade, or I would say was it 7th grade, somewhere around there, but it was called APW. It was in my old middle school gym. Maybe that's why I'm saying 7th grade. But anyway, it was good. And I enjoyed it. I was going to sit. I got to sit where I usually sit, the ramp. And it was amazing. Now, the guy's promotion, it was my sister's friend. He was a former wrestler. He went by the name Manslaughter. And it was an amazing show. And he main evented it. He was pretty cool. He came out to Triple H's King of Kings. It was a pretty tight show. Now he did go to a PPW show, and he said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm doing good." And he said, I said, I still remember my first indie show. He's like, really? I said, yeah, APW. He said, you still remember that? I said, that never. I said, I will never forget that. That show was so special. Then they had 2 shows here in where I live around Palmer in Soka Hall. Now Andy Hayter was part of that, and so was Samuel Adams. Now the funny thing was, the first show was good. Now the second show, Kylie and the second show, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and pay for my ticket. Well, I get in there, they tell us to sit down, and I'm like, okay, am I gonna pay for my ticket? Here I sat down and watched the entire show for free, and I felt like I gypped this indie show badly, and it was called AFCW. Now, they had another show planned, but the thing was, something happened with the Sokol Hall and whatever, and they had to cut it. So it was bad, but it was something. I said it was nice, but the one guy, he said he was like not a heavy set guy. He was like a middleweight almost, like not a middleweight, but like I wouldn't say like not like a heavyweight, like a really. But he went up top and he's like, I was scared. He told me he's like, I was scared to jump off that top turnbuckle because I was afraid I was going to hit the ceiling. But there was a triple threat match, and they almost ran through the wall. They put a hole through the wall.
And I have a down payment on that building.
Yes. But then, and then I was working for a gas station for 7 years, and I never had a Friday. And the one Friday, it was the first Friday I had off, and they had this flyer, said Glory Days. And I said, this looks amazing. And Kendrick was on it, Moose was on it, and Steph D-Lander. And it was amazing. And I said, I'm off I'm off on that day. I said, I should go over there. I said, where is it in Slatington? It's that expo center. I said, oh, it's that farmer's market. Okay. I went there, and I said, and the thing that scared me was I went in there. I didn't know anybody. But I called because this was before I got my ticket after every show. So I called in, and Paul, when I first got in there, Paul said, you got a ticket? I said, yeah, I called one in. He said, is your name? And I said my name. He said, this is your name. He said, you're right up at the ramp. And I said, well, I looked at the ticket. It was 81. I said, well, whatever ticket I am, that's where I'm keeping at. So 81. So I'm trying to get a jersey made, and it's spamming my Facebook constantly to get a Governor jersey with the 81. I'm trying to, and so it's pretty good. But anyway, a few months before, I think it was 2 months before that show, I literally questioned my love for wrestling. And I asked myself, am I a real wrestling fan anymore? I said, you put AEW on and you fall asleep. No disrespect to AEW. I just hate how Tony Khan's not giving these rooted wrestlers that started with the company any opportunity. And I don't know how people are with AEW. I mean, if you like it, and it's like GKM said to me, just enjoy wrestling. That's it. Not, oh, well, WWE did this or AEW went and did this. You just got to meet it in the middle. And that's what I try to do. But I said, I went and watched the Monday Night Raw the one night I was off, and I said, you know what? I said, WWE's not doing bad. I said, finally, WWE got out of that COVID mud. Because I think that's what was killing them. Because we all know that horrendous SmackDown. That first COVID SmackDown. We all saw how that tag team was when everyone was standing in the ring. I didn't even know about it.
Do you
use
your blue dusting stuff? You know, the stuff in the blue can?
Yeah.
And I said,
do you have any of the extra of that up here?
So next is Lindsay.
okay.
But
the thing was,
all right. I'll bring. Or you can get it off. We're out of it. I'm going.
But the thing was,
You're next, Lindsay.
I
So,
did-
sorry, I thought you were done.
No, it's good. Is Lindsay
Lindsay's turn, right?
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah.
Your
So,
okay? Okay,
Sorry.
it's your turn, Lindsay. I'm sorry. I don't want to hog the.
yeah, it's all good. My journey with wrestling. So I started watching it when I was young with my uncle Justin. I would visit my grandparents every so often. My uncle was only 3 years older than me, so we really more like grew up like brother and sister. And he would always tune in WCW and at the time WWF. And I think what really drew me in was like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker and Chyna and Lita and stuff. And so Justin and I would just watch wrestling all the time. And then we would try wrestling moves on each other. And then as I got older, I didn't watch it as much. And then when I moved out on my own, I didn't have cable. So like I really wasn't following. And it really wasn't until like 2016, 17, the Bella Twins is what really drew me back in. And I loved the women in wrestling and what they were offering and all the changes that they were making. And so it really wasn't until like 2019 that I started watching, more frequently on a regular basis. And then in my area where I live, there was this guy who actually used to be on WWF. He went by Vincent Goodnight at the time. So he now lives in my area and he goes by Vinny Glamrock now. And he put on this one show in Mifflinburg at the Rusty Rail Brewery called Slamfest. And I had never been to an independent show ever in my life. I didn't even know like that was a thing. And SPF was there. Devantes was there. And Bro Keller was there. And Joey Martinez. And I was like, oh, wow, these guys are really cool. And so a year goes by and he decides to put on another show. So he only does this show once a year called Slamfest. And so the second year, all the same people came back again. And I remember seeing South Philly's Finest there the first time. And I was just like, oh my God, I remember those guys. And so, of course, they all, put on a great show. And then I just started following SPF on social media. And they talked about a local show somewhere else that was like an hour and a half away. And I was like, I can make that show an hour and a half. Like, I can drive there, right? And so I went to that show, which led me to a different promotion. And then eventually I met Dio Bando, who immediately I was just like, what a star. So cool, so fun, so entertaining. And then one of them just shared something about PPW. And again, that's only an hour and a half from where I live. And so I was like, I think I'm going to try to make this show. And so I went down and I didn't realize like half of the people there I had seen at other different ones here and there, just not all together. So it was really cool seeing so many of them all in one promotion and just, wrestling each other and interacting with everyone. And so I very much enjoy going to PPW. I think they have an amazing roster. They're so talented. The fans are so much fun too. Like you guys, like we all just like rally and cheer and just really get into it. I love it. Yeah. So I have definitely enjoyed my time at PPW. They, again, like every single time put on amazing bangers and, the way they interact with you and keep you going and keep you entertained. It's so much fun. I love it.
Awesome. And now we have another fellow fan of PPW. Sam, let my fans know about your origin story within the professional independent or just your wrestling journey. Like, where did it start for you?
Well, I grew up watching wrestling, like WWE and that. And then 2 years ago, I found the independent for my nephew had a birthday party at Battlefield. It was PPW then before they went off to their own separate things. And then Ever since then, I've been a fan.
Okay. So, when was your first experience with PPW? Like you said at your cousin's party. Do you remember
My nephew.
your nephew? Sorry, your nephew's show. Do you remember the roster? Like, if like, I guess, like for independent wrestling shows, not many people remember the matches. Do you remember the matches that night?
No, I don't remember the matches.
Oh, jeez, it's all good. Like when you first stepped foot. Hey, we got another fellow PPW awesome there, Mr. One and Only ABJ. ABJ is here. He's another fellow podcaster. I got the sign right there. ABJ is another awesome person that you'll see at a PPW show. He's another podcaster, fellow champion.
How you doing, Anthony?
Anthony Blackwell Jr. Can't miss him. Can't miss that long hair, that luscious, shiny hair. He got me beat. I wish I'm a little balding, but it's okay. I'm shiny. I shine up. That's awesome. That's awesome, Sam. That your journey with professional wrestling. Now, guys, this one question that I was scouting through my brain all day long. When I start with the governor. When it comes to independent wrestling shows, because I know independent wrestling shows in Pennsylvania are like, I would say you could find one that you think you're going to go to forever, and then you see another poster and you're just going, there's so many. I counted to a British independent wrestler about PPW, like Pennsylvania's selection of independent wrestling shows. I don't know if you noticed that. We have like 5 or 6 good like shows. For you guys, how do you find when you find a show? Like, where do you find it faster? On the Instagrams, the Facebooks, or the X, or just the hang up posters when you see at a gas station? What's for you, Governor? You're first.
I usually find it through other wrestlers on Facebook or Instagram, and I look into it. Now, since I follow like Dynamo and Facade, they're usually part of other shows, and I like, where is it? I'm like, I said, if it's out of my range, I said, it's okay. I said, because sometimes I tell myself, I think PPW is enough. I said, but Mook and Stock, the Kings, are trying to tell me you got to go to Battlefield. And I'm so desperate to go to there and see that action. Because I'm pretty sure what I'm getting from PPW, I can probably get the same, and I can probably get the same and better. I can probably get the same energy that I'm getting from PPW.
Awesome.
But,
Sam?
Instagram.
Instagram? Okay.
Yeah.
So awesome. All right. Lindsay, your turn. Like, how do you find the way? Is it? I'm an old school fan, so what is like more comfortable you to finding? Looking at a poster and saying, "Oh, I like that show. I'm going to go to that show," or do you look at the posters like on Instagram or Facebook or wherever?
Yeah, it's mostly Facebook and Instagram, and only because like I will somehow stumble across one of the wrestlers and I'll follow them or, become friends with them on social media, and they will share that they are a part of a certain match somewhere at a promotion. So I'll find it that way. And then, or also if they share the promotion that they're in, then I'll go to that promotion's website as well and then see what else they've got going on. It's not very often I go inside a gas station, so I don't see anything posted at a gas station. The posters that I get, the physical ones, are because I've been at a show and they're handing out new ones for the next one.
Awesome. Your Governor?
what was it? Now, what was my local laundromat, or I usually clean where I found the first PPW flyer. I guess Paul got out and put the new flyer on, so I did some branding for you there, Joe. I put your business card on top of the flyer so everyone knows. Get Dudes at Ringside.
Paul's going to find me and use me as a mop if I had any hair. But thank you.
But
he's gonna,
you gotta
he's gonna
man.
scoop me up like freaking Kermit the Frog and just throw me. You didn't pay for that, Joe. You didn't pay for that copyright.
No.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll pay Paul. I'll pay the sponsorship. If anything, whatever it
I
is.
get the sweats. I get the Key and Peele sweats anytime I hear copyright. I'm like, pay for sponsorship. I'm like, why are you sweating so much, Joe? It's not hot in here. Is it hot in here? Hey, I got paid $10.55. Next question for you all. When it do you guys have any like fun stories when you go to shows? Like, Lindsay's already down for the funny parts. Lindsay, you start.
Yeah, so my favorite part is when they come and they tear my sign. So like that's when I'm just like, yay! And the 2 shows ago at PPW, Paul Bowe was just like, oh my word, can I borrow your sign? I want to bring it into the ring. And I was like, okay. And it was just talking crap about Travis Norbert. And so he held up my sign in the middle of the ring, and Travis was just like crapping on it and stuff. And then this past show, I had made up a sign that said Travis Norbert has feelings, and I held it up. Immediately he came and tore it, and I had a second one ready to go just in case that he tore it up and it said Travis Norbert still has feelings.
Saw that. Good. That was good.
And then he tore that one up too, and I was just like, this is fun. I love it. One of the times I was at a show and I had said like this particular wrestler is ticklish, and I held it up, and the guy who was wrestling him was moving like using ticklish moves on him, and then I was able to get almost everyone inside the promotion to be like tickle him, and so I was like, this is so much fun.
Awesome. So I'll go with the governor next, and then I'll go to you, Sam. Like what has been like your funny or like most exciting stories from when you've been at like a PPW? It could also be Battlefield. Like as Sam says, we don't discriminate. We represent battle. We also love our Battlefield Pro Wrestling. Everybody from Battlefield, we love you.
Yes.
Right here, baby.
We also talk about
right
Pennsylvania
here.
So right here.
Right here. This was probably one of my favorite moments when Paul gave me the nudge. Like after Big Daddy and his team won, he gave me the nudge. He told me to come in the ring. It was a surreal moment, and I'm glad that Linda gave me this to remind to like keep it like a memento, and I love it so much. And also, I also have a sign moment, or because Sugar Dan kept on getting on my ass, and he kept on saying, "Man, make a sign. Where's my sign? I want my sign." And he always gave me the finger every time I came in. So I finally buckled down and made a sign and said, "Sugar Dan's #1 hater." So when he came out, he looked at it, ripped it, shoved it in my shirt, and I immediately posted it on Facebook and said, "Sugar Dan's a douche." But now, I don't know. Now going into Live and Learn, now I have Sugar Dan versus Bradbury. Now I don't know who I'm going to vote going for. I'm leaning maybe towards Sugar Dan or Bradbury, but it's either way. I want to see Travis Norbert get bounced on by Benny. Even though Travis is probably, if he's hearing this, he's probably punching his laptop somewhere. So,
well, if it makes anything different, breaking news: Travis Norbert will be on Dudes at Ringside podcast in February. Even though he kind of broke the rules, I kind of told him February is dedicated to women's wrestling, and he was like that. He was ready. He grabbed his notebook open and he started writing a violation, telling me that he literally told me this in his Norbert voice. I'm an illegal radio show and my studio needs to be shut down. And Ghostbusters. I said, my Ghostbusters nerd Joe is totally going, man, you're a Walter Peck. Ridiculous. Like, eats corn sideways. Like, Like,
Oh,
he's telling me I'm an illegal. He's gonna confiscate your microphone, Joe, your laptop. I'm like, don't go in the browser.
he's gonna raid your studio before you
He's gonna
even.
raid my studio. He's gonna call. He's gonna do like Walt Peck did. This
You'll
show
be
needs to be
under
shut down.
He'll be.
He told me my
he'll be
podcast
under.
needs to be shut down.
Uh,
Yeah. So, Sam, you're next. What has been your most excited or like fun moment at like a PPW or a Battlefield show in general?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So, what has been your most excited or fun moment for PPW or Battlefield in general, anywhere?
I don't know.
Okay. I've seen you at plenty of the shows, and it looks like you're having fun and stuff like that. So, okay. If not, Sam, that's okay. I can move on to the next fun question. When it comes to like being a fan of independent wrestling, and we have a friend from the fellow member of the podcast world and a well-known name is joining us right now. Let's give a warm return and fellow indie member. ABJ is here with us, everybody.
I'm here for one reason and one reason only. The PPW Nation is the greatest nation when it comes to the fan base of professional wrestling in the Northeast. So I want to come in and show my love and gratification for all of you in the chat boxes here that make it those shows so much fun. This Joe Panther guy, I don't know about him, but everybody else is awesome.
Yeah, I have to say something. Chris White came up to me with the one show and he said, "You should start a podcast." I said, "Yeah, you could be pretty good at it." And I told Joe this. I said, "I don't know, because it's like I'm going to be in competition with two good podcasters between ABJ and Joe Panther the Third." So
I was about to say, who's the other one? It's ABJ's in there. I don't know who that other one's going to be.
Where you're running, I don't know.
I said I couldn't. I said I don't even know. I said I'd be out of my podcast would be up and down. It wouldn't even matter. I said
listen,
go in the wing.
If you ever wanted to get into it and needed a crash course, I'd help you run through it.
I told him that too. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I originally started out just talking into because I've been on YouTube for about 8 years. 8 years running. And originally I started as my aunt, she's battling cancer, and she told me, she went to my YouTube channel and she's like, "I went to your old videos, and your old video, Joe, you went to the dark days." I'm like, "Dark days?" And she showed me the thing. All you see is the outline of my face. Didn't have a ring light, didn't have a microphone. I'm just talking to my laptop. Because as I like to say, you don't always have to have the prettiest ring light as I'm blinding myself looking into it, and the biggest microphone like I have. You could talk into your computer. If you have something to talk about, the fans will come watch, and they want to. If you're funny and you goof off like me and Anthony, they'll want to watch you. Come back every week.
I want to give some love to PPW too, especially from this scene. Like I've been at this about 8 years now, but I started just doing podcasting with my friends and doing this, and we went to a PPW show just as podcasters to cover the event and cover the show. We were in the bleachers at the Holy Family Academy in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and we went 2 or 3 times, covered the shows, reviewed it, and me and BP were essentially just giving our fantasy bookings of how we would do this and who would we put here and who we'd push and who we wouldn't push. And then years later, we went from podcasters to backstage interviewers to commentary to now BP's one of the guys running the shows. He's booking the shows now, which is super cool. So and moments cool. and those moments of just, we both got to work in shows all up and down the Northeast coast. I've hosted conventions with Sting. Like that all happened because PPW gave us a shot. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of love and respect for PPW.
If it wasn't for PPW, I might have lost a big a big part of my life. It's not even because it would have been, I think, 20 years now. I was a wrestling fan, and I gotta thank Day of Reckoning for that. Day of Reckoning made me a wrestling fan.
Day of Reckoning for the GameCube.
Yes,
I love that.
Wow.
It became, that's the reason why I became a huge John Cena fan.
It's crazy. I interview a lot of wrestlers, and you know how many people say the reason they got into pro wrestling was either figures or video games. They didn't watch it on TV. They got into it because of a video game or the figures. That's what got them.
And the very first, the other night, I was thinking, I said, you know what? The funny thing is, my very first wrestling figure was a Scott Steiner WCW figure, and I didn't even know what it was. It was just some dude in a singlet. And I thought it was pretty sweet. He had his sunglasses on. He had a white singlet on. I thought that was pretty sick. And I'm like, and I didn't even know what it was. And then like, I guess a couple years, and I said my 10th birthday, I said, I went to Toys R Us, and my mom's like, you're not getting any wrestling figures, this and that. And here I got the entire Adrenaline series. My first official WWE figures were Batista and Randy Orton. And eventually I ended up getting Scott Steiner, and, I got that entire wave of that Adrenaline series. And it made me laugh. I said, and God rest my grandfather. He said, you want to take them out? Because he's like, you want to take them out and play with them? And then he went and take them back up. My grandmother didn't even know what. So, but yeah, Day of Reckoning was a huge, huge, huge part of it. And the funny thing is,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Governor, but I did a poll in the chat. I just did a new poll, and it was about if you're a fan of you love independent. Yeah, cool. I love independent wrestling. Then more than WWE than WWE and AEW, or nah, I'm just a WWE fan. 75% of people in the chat right now just said they love that independent wrestling is cooler than WWE and AEW.
Before we went live, I want to say one thing, because I made it on a post, and I said, the thing is, you gotta stop sitting on the top of the hill and watching the sunrise and sunset with nostalgia sunglasses, and you gotta take them out, take them off, go down the hill, watch a village be built into an empire, and that is the definition I have for Nolan Pierce, because the kid was 19 years old, and I saw him in that Fatal 4-Way at Glory Days, and I said, this kid is kicking ass, and he's only 19.
He's been at it though since he's 14. Nolan Pierce, low key, has probably more in-ring time than some people 10 years into their wrestling career. That kid is above and beyond in-ring. Like everything that you do in the world, whether you're going to be a podcaster, a wrestler, a journalist, if you're going to make blankets crocheting, whatever it takes, you log hours by doing it. You get reps, you do it and you do it and you do it. Nolan Pierce is a special kid. He has a great support system. He has great parents who take him everywhere he needs to go to chase his dream. That kid is going to be the next Jordan Oliver, the next Marcus Mathers, the next Nick Wayne. Like he's put time in that a lot of people have under their belt. Griffin McCoy's another one of those people too. People don't realize he's been at it doing backyard fed since he's 14 years old. He's top guy time for a reason.
Another person that's on Sam's shirt that's really putting the grind and really like moving around. Ricky Price.
Let Ricky cook.
Okay. Ricky Price is another person that he grinds the hell. If you haven't seen Ricky Price,
yeah, he does.
I never heard of him. Is he good?
I think he's a pretty good guy. But, when it's not cold here, me and him, they say he has the greatest mustache in the wrestling. When it comes to indie, I don't know. My mustache is Latin, so I kind of I go really. I'm gonna have to get on him during the summer. I'm gonna be like Ricky, greatest mustache in the Indies. I thought it was ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah, Ricky and Junie, both guys who work really, really, really hard. I just did an interview with someone that's coming to the podcast very soon, a Canadian wrestler, and they said that they were up at speedball school or up at a school in Canada, and just randomly shows up just for a training session and a student show. Junie Underwood and Journey Burke comes walking through the door. So like that's Junie Underwood right there. Just like, I'll drive to Canada for a wrestling opportunity. Like that kid, unbelievable.
You said the word Journey Burke. That's another one that I had on the podcast in the back in the day. They're another rising star in the indie scene. Ricky Price. My gosh. Do you guys feel that the independence like wrestling stuff since COVID, some of these wrestlers that were underlooked now, they're on if there was a top 100 in Pennsylvania independent wrestling right now, that would be like the ones like the Rickies and Journey Burks, and oh my gosh, there's like so many names that could be like on the top 100 Pennsylvania wrestlers like right now. It's so many ones.
And that's why I always
a lot of good workhorses on the scene.
Always keep check.
Yeah. Well, and there's one that
I always, every time I find this magazine, I always look.
There's ones that we haven't seen in a while that I miss seeing her at PPW, because I learned about PPW through Paul Bowe, him coming on Dudes at Ringside, and then I started like figuring. Look, he's like, "Oh, you live in PA, Joe? Why don't you come?" And then I'm like, I just learned about you guys through the podcast, so now I started going. When I was upset that I didn't see her live at PPW, but I saw her at Smash Masters. Adina Steele. She's another one that is like underrated, but she's really good, like super good. And she doesn't just wrestle men; she wrestles women too.
I could be wrong, but I believe she just, for now, just hung up the boots. I believe didn't she just retire or come out and say she's retiring from in-ring action for a little bit?
I
Dina
must have missed that one.
Yeah, I think that's what Dina just put on social media.
Oh,
one of the shows I've seen Journey Burke is with Riley Crow, who's with Smash Master, and Riley is amazing. Crow. And I've seen her also wrestle guys as well. And one of the matches I saw her in one time, she got all bloody and like she was just like killing it, and it was like such an intense match, and I just couldn't believe like the intensity that she brought to that match.
That was her versus Killian McMurphy.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Killian McMurphy.
Yeah. That was my first Smash Master show that I had ever been to. And I was just like in awe, because like it's just such a different vibe, and it's amazing.
And yes, Riley Crow was in that. She was at that Sokol Hall too. I saw her twice.
Yeah, I definitely. When I see that she's going to be at a show that I'm going to, I'm like, yes, because I just love watching her.
People don't realize how long she's been around too. She's not a rookie in the game. She's been around for quite some time.
Yeah,
trained by the bloodline. She's a WXWC4 trainee.
Wow,
she trained back in the day with Ace Austin.
Wow,
nice.
Do you guys go to like out of state shows like New Jersey and travel to New York when you see shows? Anthony,
I would love to. I would love to so much. Yeah,
I used to when I was getting booked. I used to work a lot of Jersey shows and some New York shows. I now that I'm working weekend shift, my wrestling shows are going to be on hold for the foreseeable future. So you won't see me at shows. That last PPW show is the last one I'm going to be at for quite some time. But I really want to break into more New York shows because there's a lot of cool stuff. I want to go see a House of Glory show. I want to go up to a Battle Club show, which is essentially the training school that Rembrandt and Cosmic and Sammy Chaos all come out of. Trained by Jorge Sante, Masha Slamovich, and Prince Ahmed are some of the coaches up there.
I haven't been to an out-of-state show. Oh, sorry.
No, you go next. Sorry,
I haven't been to an out-of-state show. The furthest I've gone so far is maybe like 2.5 hours in like the Bethlehem, Allentown area. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't. But yeah, if the opportunity came and it was like an easy way to get there and back, I'd go to a different state.
Yeah. I had a chance. Governor, you're next. After this, I'll then get to you, then we'll go to Sam, and then I'll tell you my fun experiences, the shows out of state that I've been to. Governor, you're next.
I haven't been to, but it would be nice. But you know, things happen. But I said it's just due to my condition, because I have like a seizure problem, and I haven't drove in I don't know how long, and it kind of sucks for me. But now it's like I said. I said if anything, it's not bad. I said if anything, I'm not. I said if anything, I could watch it through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. I said it looks pretty good. Can I please? And I want to interject something because I watched a very passionate video last night on Instagram, and it brought me in tears because this wrestler, he was working his nose to the grind, and I see where he was coming from because he was a huge John Cena fan, and he got bullied and he got beat up because of how much he loved wrestling. And yesterday was I think it was yesterday. It was GCW. He had a big, huge match, and he was Matt Cardona's opponent. And when he came out, that entrance, I felt it. I felt it behind him. I literally felt the tears coming out of my eyes. And that's Tommy Invincible. I would love to see him at PPW. I would love to see him grow. I'd love to see him because I told him keep grinding. That must have been so amazing. He must have felt so empowered by that. I said that guy shouldn't be in small crowd. He shouldn't be seen in small crowds. He should be seen by a large group of people. I said that guy is keeping the world invincible. But like I said, he went through a lot, and I give him hell for that. But seeing him make that grand entrance from the back, I said I felt the chills. I said it just feels like I was there. I said if I could, I would have freaking hugged him. But I said if anything, I would love to see him in PPW someday. But I always keep an eye. I said I just kept on seeing him pop up, and I said I gotta follow him. But I know he's somewhere out there. But yeah.
You next, Sam.
I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to travel. I pretty much want to stay in the Pennsylvania area.
Okay. With me, the furthest I've gone, because I lived on Long Island, and I used to go to NYWC in Suffolk. But since I've been here, I've been to PPW. It's like that I've been everywhere, man song. I've been to PPW first because they opened me up to the Pennsylvania shows. What's your name? Oh my gosh. At the Falcon's Nest this year, I had a chance to finally go to
New Era.
That was a really good show. I got a chance to hang out with the maker of the belts, our Mr. Ruda, as you can see behind.
Whoever booked that show did a great job. Whoever booked the whole thing.
Oh my god, I forgot you're the commentator guy. That show.
I booked that show.
Oh, you booked that? Really?
The whole show, yeah.
That was a good. Me and
you know the spot where someone came out and joined the team on the fly. They joined the Bad Fellas. You know that happened on the fly. Even the people in the ring didn't know it was happening.
It's a good show. That show was so good. You did agree. If that show is on the internet, I have to send that to everybody on the screen here because it was so good. Like the ladder match was good.
The ladder match was amazing.
Oh my gosh, the women's match. I didn't even know I just learned about the girls in the match, and then I meet the one of the female wrestlers. She was really young. I met her dad. He's like, "Oh, how you doing? Your podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Joe Panther." He's like, "Oh, cool. That's my daughter." And I was like, "Which one?" He's like, "The one with the black with the sparkles." I was like, "Oh, wow. She's really young." He's like, "Yeah, she's just getting into the wrestling business." I was like, "Wow, she's really young." And yet I interview young wrestlers.
Monster Factory.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, not Monster Factory. What do they call it? Wrestle Factory? I don't know.
Yeah.
They changed the name because of, if you know, reasons.
Oh, jeez. Dang monsters. Mess up everything. Monsters Inc. fired. Canceled. Yeah, so I've gone there. I've gone to PPW, Battlefield. A chance to finally go. I have a funny story about going to Battlefield. I got tickets. Tiffany saved my tickets, so I went. I was sitting there, but waiting for the show to start. I hear Alpha say, "Hey, podcast," from across the room. And I'm just like the little kid going, "Hey, Brett." Brett looks back and I podcast. I'm like, place is empty. No one's in the room yet because they let me in early. I was like, "Yes." My voice went from normal Joe to nervous. "Yes." So I walk over and I was like, "Hey, Alpha, everything okay?" He's like, "I'm Joe Panther." He goes, "No, I call you podcast." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Is everything okay?" He goes, "Can you tell your pops to move over a foot?" "Oh, well, we're in front row. We got the 3. It's VIP." He goes, "No, those are for the people that reserve their tickets, like they like season tickets."
All right.
I was like, "Okay, Dad, can you just move over a scotch, like a little bit?" And he was like, "Okay." So he moves over to the post and, "Is this good?" He goes, "Yes, Pops, you can stay there." My dad's like, "Okay." But yeah, that's my everybody that goes, "Wow, you lost your nickname like that." Alpha Jr. dubbed you as King Podcast. And all the wrestlers just laughing at me because there was nobody in the room yet. My name just got erased, like Thanos. And my friend's like, "You didn't get mad?" I'm like, "Would you get mad if a member of the bloodline just told you your name is Podcast? Done." I'm just like paper erase Thanos Podcast. Done.
Nope.
It changed forever. No longer Joe. No longer Panther. Sorry, Grandpa. Podcast. I was like, do I have to make new shirts now? Crap.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm watching SmackDown as we talk.
Is it that bad, Anthony? You look like you just saw the.
No, Piper Niven just hit a move that was wild.
I was about to say, I was like, it's like, did you just walk past a stinky kid in school? Was it that bad?
The Chelsea Green's on screen. I'm a Chelsea Green fan.
Gotta say the Pledge of Allegiance because she's our U.S. champion.
Courtesy of PPW, I got to hang out with Chelsea Green. She wasn't. I went with PPW to a convention, and I got to sit with the Neon Blondes and Tasha Steele. And I walked by the one table, and a couple months before that, I was working with a bunch of people were at PPW. This is in Slatington, and Deanna Peraza was like, "Hey, Anthony, how you been?" And I was like, I can't believe she remembered who I was. And I said, "I'm over with Tasha Steele." So she goes, "Well, come on, take me over to Tasha. I want to go say hi." I said, "Okay." And then as we're about to leave, Chelsea Green goes, "I want to go too." So I am walking through the convention with Chelsea and Deanna Peraza on each arm. And yeah, that was awesome. Super legendary.
Pretty sweet.
I'm a fan of both of them. They're both unbelievable.
So
it's fine. I'm happy that she's getting I'm happy Chelsea's getting the recognition she's getting. I'm glad that she won that Women's United States Championship.
Yeah, she's killing it. I wish Deanna was. I could say the same thing in the AEW, but unfortunately, she's MIA.
Yeah.
So my next question for you all, with independent wrestling being so almost I call it one-on-one. You can be walking around the floor and then bump into like a Danny Mo, or you could bump into a Visage, or you could bump into like an ABJ or whoever, like a Paul Bow, or even you could bump into the Bro. So for you, going into independent wrestling, do you sometimes feel like that independent wrestling is so much cooler than going to a WWE or an AEW show? I'll start with the Governor.
I think it is because you know what? Because you can hear their experiences and what they did in the company. Because I got to speak, because I got to talk with Kendrick, and I asked him how it was in that, and he said it was. I said it was because I asked him if he can autograph my 8x10 Spanky instead of his original name, because I liked how he was in 2003, and he said no. He said that, as I thought if I asked it, he would get mad at me and said, "Nah, I'm not. No, those days are over." But he's like, "No, those are good. No, those were good times." I said, "No," and he autographed it to me, and that was awesome. I loved it because I know it was he was doing it to mock John Cena, and I said it was right after Cena lost his first WWE Championship to Brock Lesnar, and I said he got the worst end of it on that SmackDown. I could still do Brian Hebner's beatboxing off of Cena's head. I said, then you hear the clothesline, and it's like Taz saying, "Fun time's over." But yeah, Kendrick.
Funny you bring that up. That's one of my favorite things too at PPW back in the day, and I got to relive it a little bit with the last show. Is helping with the meet and greets and watching you all have those interactions with the people during the meet and greet. Like I genuinely enjoy those moments. And hearing you guys having you have like letting you guys like hearing you guys have those interactions and ask the questions, and like I developed like a rivalry with the one guy, I forget his name, the old guy, but he always has the wind up camera. Like he has those old school disposable cameras, and he finally out of all the years doing PPW, he showed up to Matt Riddle with the actual phone, and I go, I don't know if I like. You upgraded it. You're 98. I always heckle him too. He's like, "Shut the hell up and take the photo." But I'm like, "Look at you! You finally upgraded, you old man." You're like, I said, "You're old as dirt, and you're using dirt cameras, and now you got a new one." He's like, "Shut the hell up and take my photo." He's like the first person I got to be heel on. Yeah.
But another thing, though, it was an early, and I always told when I told Rui this because the next day was my birthday. I said, "Thank you for an early birthday present." I said, "Seeing Matt Riddle perform was awesome." And the cool thing was at the end of the show, he was sitting down, and I got to talk to him for a little bit. And now I had to bring up because I think it was his first WWE game that he was in, 2K20. We all know how that game was. And as soon as I brought it up, as soon as it left my mouth, I said I should have just shut up and just should have just shouldn't have said it. Because he just looked a little bit irritated, but he's like, yeah. And I said, well, when my first match I got to play in that was the Boiler Room. When they brought it back finally, I played him, and I said,
"That's the Bro Championship."
Oh yeah, yeah. And I told him, I said, you have a cool, you had one of the best movesets in that game. I said that game was awesome. I said that game wasn't awesome. I said your moveset was awesome, but I didn't really appreciate what they did to him in 2K23. They made him sound how they made him sound stupid, and how they made him sound like your average, your average pothead. I'm like, I said Riddle isn't. I said I haven't been in the same room with the guy, but even I know he ain't that. He ain't that dull or that.
I may have left. I may have left a little Scooby snack for Matt Riddle when I left PPW the other night. I wanted to enjoy a Scooby snack with Matt Riddle. That was my goal, but unfortunately, we were unable to coincide with that. So I just kind of left.
As soon as I saw, and I think I saw a police officer. I think there was a police officer walking around. I'm like, oh geez. I'm like, this isn't. I said we're getting one night stand in this thing tonight, aren't we?
I don't know if it's the same old guy that you were talking about, ABJ. But when my dad and I were walking in the door to get in the building, I walked in and me and my dad looked at each other and we like took a breath. And my dad is a former cop, CO, and he was like, "Man, it smells like weed." And then I looked up and there's Matt Riddle like.
If it's
And
not
I'm like,
Matt,
"Man,
if it's not Matt, it's
pull up."
usually
And my
me. And if
dad,
it's
like,
not me, it's a few other wrestlers. I won't put their business out there, but
looked at my dad and I was like, "Yeah." And then that whole show, my dad's like, Papa Panther was like, "Man, it smelled like weed in that whole." And I said a stupid joke and nobody heard me. And I wish you would have been around me when I said it. Man, it smells like Bob Marley kind of nasty. It smelled like Bob Marley farted.
I just tell I tell my gram, someone hit a skunk outside. We're overrun with skunks. It's just skunks everywhere. So you have to look at the card. So here's a little trick. You got to look at the card, and you got to see who wrestles from first half to intermission, and then you have to get those people for intermission breaks because their match is done, and then they can partake. And then you have that intermission to the end, and then they're the people you have to get after the show because obviously for those reasons. Yeah.
So. Lindsay, you're next. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoy the indie scene a whole lot. I feel like it's very like personal, and it's really special then when they start to recognize you from past shows, and especially if you're going to a different promotion and they're there as well, and they're like, "Hey, it's cool to see you here." So it feels special that they remember you. And then every so often I might show up by myself and then they'll be like, "Yo, where's your husband? Why isn't he here? Where's your friend? I saw her here with you the other time." And so it's cool to like gain that connection and, you know, start learning things about one another and forming friendships.
Awesome. Sam, are you still around?
I think she's
Oh, sorry. Sim's helping. So for you, Sam, do you find independent wrestling more your bag, or do you like the both, the WWE and the indie scene?
I'm more into indie.
Indies? Okay.
Yeah.
So you would count yourself more of as an indie girl than being like a WWE realist or a AEW every day. Okay. All right. I feel that.
Yeah.
When you go to your indie shows, does it make you feel like, wow, this is what it feels like to have wrestlers right at your beck and call to talk to them and get their autographs, pretty much?
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Anthony, do you got anything for us?
As in?
Like any questions or anything? Because we're doing this whole fan/PPW thing today.
All right. I'll ask a question. Just from an independent wrestling /podcaster question. Have you ever consumed a podcast that had independent wrestlers on that you were a fan of them or not so much a fan of them, then listened to their story and you fell more in love with that talent because you got to know them more on a personal level from hearing their experiences via a podcast?
Oh yeah. When I interviewed Christina Marie, I knew about her because all her stuff she's done. And when I heard her story about her mom having cancer and learning about how she became the courageous Christina Marie, I became more of a fan. And every time I would see her on a roster, I'm like, I gotta go. And then I really couldn't go, but I went to a Smashmaster show and she was supposed to be there. I think she was supposed to face Adina Steele and she couldn't make it. I guess her car couldn't go. And I was bummed. The other time I see her to a show, she was on the roster. I tried to go and she couldn't make it. I'm like, man, I guess she's not so courageous. She keeps missing keep missing the gig. But she's a good wrestler. Shout out to Christina Marie. She's so awesome. I'm sad I didn't get a chance to see her and her rise in PPW when she was the women's champion over there and when it was in Hazleton. But
she dominated.
Yeah.
Christina Marie and Mercedes Martinez. Those two matches are probably my favorite women's matches that ever happen at PPW. They did two matches together and they were unbelievable. We're getting a Charlotte.
So you had Lindsay Zimmerman on a couple months ago, and my first Smashmaster show, I had seen this woman walking around the whole entire time with the camera, and I'm like, who is this woman? What is she doing? And I didn't know. And then a few weeks later, you happened to have her on your podcast, and then I was able to learn more about her and what she did. and how she helped out Smash Master. And then from there, I was like, this woman is so cool. And she has my name, so I have to like her.
Yeah, the 570 experience. They work super hard.
Yes.
Love 570. Good people. I helped them design a T-shirt too. The one with the barbed wire. It says I heart.
Literally just announced that Charlotte Flair will be returning at the Rumble, like in a video package. I would have just made that a surprise.
I would have. Yeah, why would you?
What? That's
You know what that means,
the
right?
whole point of the Rumble is to have that surprise entrance. Why would you do that?
You want that wow factor. Why would you take that away from people?
It's like putting Penta's merch on the website before he even makes his debut.
Don't push enter until it's
or saying
I'm sorry.
Rock's gonna win.
Any other podcasters you listen to that you became a fan of somebody after listening to their story?
Sam?
ABJ.
Me? You became a fan of me because of the podcast? Who was I on that you heard my story?
The Brothers Gray.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're
yeah.
I have another one in the works with them very, very soon. We're gonna do an in-person interview.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like the Brothers Gray. I've been talking to them. They literally see me at a show and I'm like 5'1" and they tower over me and they see me and they go, "Oh my God, sorry, Joe. We need to talk to you. We want to come on the show and we're so sorry for ducking you."
Justice for 5'1" guys.
I love the Brothers Gray entrances. The music and the way they walk in, they just saunter in, and it's just I love it. It's fun.
I've made a lot of friends in this business, but I've made a lot of what I would consider like family, and they're two people that they're ride or die. I would do anything for those guys.
You gained a fan tonight, ABJ. Fan.
I take all I can get.
They like you, ABJ. They like you. give you the tap in the chest. They like you, kid. They like you.
I would be honest. I have a lot of interviews coming up that I'm very, very proud of. I can't wait for people to hear.
That's good.
I don't know if you saw the one I did.
I have 4 more to record, and I'm done interviews because I have enough interviews to last me till May.
What's been your favorite interview you've ever done?
Oh, Jesus, I hate this question. Oh, it's so tough. So, like for me, a good interview is like a good date. I don't know. I'm new to the dating game. I was out for a while. I was in a relationship for 16 years, but like you go on a good date or you just have a good conversation. You feel like you're really connected with that person and you like fall in love with them as a person and their personality and what they do. But who's one that really sticks out? Honestly, most recently, Sugar Dan's interview was really, really good. Just hearing that kid's work ethic and everything he's been through and how he had he was wrestling on a mattress in his backyard and legit concussed himself because he didn't know where else to go to train.
Yeah, I don't know who shit all over the toilet.
Sam, I forgot to mute your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You had ABJ dying over here.
We're alive. Well, there, pal.
But
it's okay, Sam. That was just
I'm sorry. No, I'm in the middle of an interview right now. No,
Sugar Dan is actually from the Reading area and travels from Reading to Baltimore to get his training.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
Wow.
Another one too that I was a fan of, but became more of a fan after the interview that really stands out just from a work ethic aspect of like work ethic is unmatched is Leo Sparrow.
Oh yeah.
Very, very good interview with Leo.
You got to do the thing. A car.
That's VKM. That's not Leo Sparrow.
I thought Leo Sparrow would be like vegetables.
Yes, kale.
Vegetables. Eat your
Jesus.
Caca.
Yeah, get it together. Get you're a journalist. You don't know your cacas from your VKMs from your Leo Sparrows?
Leo Sparrow's gonna get mad at me next time he sees me. He's gonna throw. You mean he's like the TikTok grandma with the eat your vegetables, kids.
I'll give you a spoiler alert for an interview coming up that I really enjoyed. It's not aired yet, but I just did an interview with Sebastian Amore that I cannot wait for people to check out.
Ooh.
So if you noticed last show, Sebastian was wearing the Chicago Bulls jersey.
Mm.
You'll hear more of that in the podcast. That was actually a gift from me to him, and he actually wore it during his match that night.
Oh,
That's good. That's cool. That's awesome.
Huge fan of that.
No
So that kid
offense.
showed up. He showed up at a PPW show not booked. And I was like, man, he has a really cool look. I really like this kid. So I took him and I did a 5 questions with ABJ with him. And he just did his whole bit where he's like talking about Tinder and girls and all that.
Oh, geez.
Before I aired it to the public, I sent it to Paul. I sent it to Brian. I said, I don't know what you have to do, but get this kid at PPW. And from then on, he's been booked every single show. Creative Pro makes real good kids, man. They a lot of good kids come out of that school.
There's some male and female wrestlers that I've seen and I've interviewed over the past 4 years of this podcast that I would love to see them come to the PPW, especially the females that I interviewed. Little Mean Kathleen was from Boston. I don't know if you're familiar with her work. She's an amazing wrestler, and her character work. She doesn't talk; she screams. She's like, ah.
I worked with her at High Tension.
What's that?
I worked with her at High Tension.
She's awesome. Becca, B3 CCA. The
she used to be called Basic Becca, but now she's just Becca.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And really also good. The wrestler that she used to work with, the one that always does this, I'm talking about, calls everybody bro. He's in Boston. He's a really good wrestler. Can't think of his name offhand. But there's so many wrestlers that I would love to see PPW get that have never wrestled in Pennsylvania. Like Becca's probably wrestled in Pennsylvania, but not in PPW.
Well, the thing with PPW is you have to from a company standpoint, and maybe I'm coming from some inside information here, but like you can't always just rotate your cast, right? And I know everybody wants an opportunity to come in and work PPW, but PPW is, and this is no disrespect to any other company or promotion in Pennsylvania or that Northeast area, but PPW is the longest reigning company for a reason. They do things the right way. Their production is through the roof. Their lighting, like the way they do, they are the premier wrestling network, the premier wrestling show of the area. They have the longevity. Everything they do is great, but they've also crafted a way of that you're just as excited for their roster as you are if a big name like a Matt Riddle comes in. And if you always rotate those people and don't give you that consistent storyline or get you invested into these wrestlers, and you're always rotating people out, then the fans really don't have that carry on from one show to the next of looking forward to this person's story and finishing their story. But then you can insert someone into the mix like a Ricky Price, who made his PPW debut this year, where he kind of showed up, last year, where he showed up, inserted himself here and there, and now people want to see more Ricky there because he was involved with other people that they're looking
I was
forward
one of
to.
those guys. I was
You
one
know
of
what I mean?
those guys.
So PPW does it right by everybody wants to be there, but you have to. It all comes down to picking and choosing and doing the right things to be there and stay there. Because if you if you can't, then they move on and they look for somebody else to roll with.
Like for you guys, in closing, before we end tonight's awesome tribute to PPW and the fans, fantasticos, as I would say, of PPW. So in closing, like with the next show, the first match that was shown for the king of the the bird guy, and the main event is like, it looks like the main event, but I could say probably not going to be the main event because there's a lot of big matches that was last show. That this first match, what do you guys think about this main event? This match with Rembrandt and the guy we were just talking about before, the king of the birds. What do you guys think about
GKM?
Yeah,
GKM
versus Rembrandt.
Rembrandt is amazing. I enjoyed this storyline the last couple months of what has been happening and transpiring with PPW. So I'm invested in that storyline. GKM I saw first at an AXW show. I've only been to one show only, and he was there and he blew my mind. So then when he came to PPW this summer, I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. He kills it every time I see him. So I'm so interested to see this match. I think it's going to be a banger. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I'm going to be excited either way. I'm going to be happy no matter what happens. I'm probably going to be happy and sad at the same time. Like if it changes hands, I'm going to be sad for Rembrandt. If he retains, I'm going to be happy for him, but a little bit sad for GKM. But he's a rising star, dude. Like I'm ecstatic of what's going to happen.
Governor.
It's going to be a great match. I'm not going to lie, but it's like I want to see GKM win. I want to see the shock. I want to see the shock.
How dare you?
I want to see a shock.
But I said, you know what? And then there's another way where I want to see Rembrandt do the biggest heel thing ever and win, because he wants to be. I mean, he's the work of art. He's a modern day work of art. I kind of want to see him win though, but I want to see GKM get that push though. Like it's not maybe even that John Cena, Brock Lesnar 2003 thing. Like you didn't win, but there's a good sign. There's good things. It's signs to come. Like, but I know. But let the Phoenix rise, baby. Kaka.
The Crow style. I would love to see him do a promo going, "Ka, you're dead." I love that line from the Crow.
And he always tries to get he always tries to get the crowd pumped before the show. So I give him that much. I give him that credit.
So
because he's not.
Sam, what do you think about this? Sorry, Governor. So Sam, what do you think about this match? We were just talking about that the first match they announced for the next show.
I think it's gonna be a decent one.
Who do you got? Who do you think's gonna win?
Rembrandt, of course.
Rembrandt would be proud. He'd be happy. So he always brings down the house. The man's a legend, and I love his style. I love the
Shocker of the year.
Yes, like I just feel bad that he was going through that, and now he's just like in the atmosphere of the PPW like world, and it's so cool to see what he's done so far, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future. So guys, if anybody wants to follow you guys, you can always follow
real quick. Hold on.
Oh wait.
First off, Rembrandt champion forever. And there's a few matches announced for this show.
Okay, I
had to look so I don't spoil one before it gets out there. But yes, I think Rembrandt. I love GKM, but Rembrandt and forever. We do have Sugar Dan versus Jermaine Marbury that was announced, and then also an amazing matchup, all for the right reasons, except one person who I just wish would just go away. He's the worst. Like probably there's two people at PPW and the Northeast wrestling scene that I just wish would go fall off a cliff. And this is one of them, but you'll get to see the amazing Travis Norbert with Los Toxicos. And unfortunately for everyone in attendance, Logie P. I don't know who actually likes that kid. He's the absolute worst. And I hope he's listening. If you are, you're the worst and you know it. And then you got, who are these? Who's the other side over here? Not Jabroni. Sorry. Jesus. Nolan Pierce, Mark Alexander, and Dio Bando Bebe, which I think is going to be a great matchup. But unfortunately, I think Logie P being on their team easily the weakest link and will probably cause them to lose because he's
an Eagles fan. That's
he's the drizzling. Can I curse on here?
Oh, yeah.
He's the drizzling shits.
He's an Eagles fan. He's an Eagles fan. What do you expect?
I don't. That kid and fan is. I don't think he has any. I don't know. I don't know the new lingo with kids these days, but he comes out with a funnel. I don't know what do they call it. Butt chugs. I don't know. He says he's real good at those. I don't know.
That's great, ABJ. You're the
if
man.
Someone can please make a sign that says ABJ says Logie P is great at butt chugs. If you can make that a sign and take a photo and send it to me because I won't be at the show.
That you got to be there though. I can only bring it if you're there.
I can't. I work now on weekends, but I need the Logie P butt chug thing to catch on. All right.
But will that really offend him though?
No. there's some content coming up where I
can't make haters for myself. I can make haters for you.
I do that. I do that pretty well on my own.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of feelings on commentary. Yeah.
Okay.
You give me a live microphone. I've been blocked by certain wrestling promotions because of my commentary.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Before you end though, you said something about a spoiler. Does that mean you know a match that you can't tell us?
I do, yes.
But what if you give us half a spoiler?
I will say it's very. If you've been a fan of my podcast for a long time, you may see two people who are podcast related.
I'm gonna have to do some research.
Be good.
Yeah.
Ooh, gotta do some research.
Sam, we're all excited for this next show, but everybody, before we go one at a time, Governor, if anybody wants to follow you, and Governor, someone just hit you. If anybody wants to follow you on social medias, Governor, how can they find you? Why'd you run in off?
On Facebook, it's Austin Papay, my legal name. That's it. And then
your legal name's Austin Papay?
Yes. My legal name. Austin Papay.
I think he said awesome. I thought he said awesome. Like,
no. Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. No. Yeah, Austin Papay. No. Austin Papay, And then on Instagram, it's Austin Sensation 1181. So I actually had it 1154, but due to my ticket number, I changed the 54 to 81. So, but I had to make it catchy and made it a little bit awesome. So that's Lindsay, my Instagram.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, looking up Lindsay Yankee, LINDSAYYANKEE, or X, opposite Yankee Lindsay.
Okay, and if the fans don't remember last time, ABJ, tell them where they can find you.
Every single Monday, it drops at midnight. There's a new episode of the ABJ podcast. Great interviews, tons of great stuff coming up, I believe. Let me just double check to make sure I'm correct on this so I don't announce something that it's not out there. But if you're a member of the championship tier member of our channel, you actually can go and see every single episode that's done and recorded from now till May. You get all that early content there. So there's about 4 months worth of content that you can check out right now if you're a championship member of the channel. But the next podcast will be, sorry, give me 1 second here. I thought you were going to go with Sam first. I wasn't prepared. It's going to be Zenith from Catchpoint Wrestling. Zenith, you got to see her at New Era Pro Wrestling. She is a mom, a mom and a wrestler, so she has a lot of cool stories there. And then every Tuesday we're live with Tornado Tag Podcast, which might be moving to Mondays. We're not sure yet. And then on Fridays, a 5 question with ABJ drops, and then throughout the week you might get some unboxing videos. I just did some unboxings for some figures, some pro wrestling crates, some beer reviews, some movie reviews, horror movie reviews. There's a little bit of everything going on the channel. And then maybe some of those old school channels are going to start popping up with some older content being reestablished on those pages. So make sure you go check out those as well.
Okay, Sam, you're the last one. If any of my international fans would like to follow you on the social medias, how can they find you?
It's Sam Minnick on Facebook and Sammy Minnick on Instagram.
Awesome. Guys, everybody, I want to thank you so much for coming in and help me come here and tell all your piece about how much you love PPW. I can't wait to see you guys all at the next PPW show. I'm Joe Panther III.
The Governor.
Lindsay.
ABJ.
Sam.
And we will catch you in the next one. Good night, everybody.